I understand our community's need for affordable living and housing and the need for aggressive drug enforcement to stop its serious impact. And there's a need for smarter and smaller government, like a part-time legislature that works for Guam and having more efficient GovGuam departments. Please support me with one of your votes for Senator to work for you on these issues. I'm Dr. Sam Mabini-Young.
Paid for by friends of Sam Mabini-Young, Gina Ramos, Treasurer.
We're already Pica's best radio station,
and we want to keep it that way. Voting for Pica's best radio station is on and underway. If you've already voted for the point, thank you. If not, there's still time to get yours in. We're honored that many of you have nominated us again, and we'll keep looking for ways to keep you informed, up to date, and entertained. Fox News, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie and all the great talk shows from around the USA. Tell a friend and share your votes with all the Point's super advertisers. Thanks from all the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
Come try Guam's original Chamorro restaurant with Pica's best 5 years running. Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Experience Chef Peter's candied salmon over scallion coconut rice, octopus to naktak, Chamorro platter, and their award-winning gourmet hamburgers. Or if you're looking for something healthy, try their keto-friendly menu. Come and enjoy Mezcla's half-a-day service at their Hagåtña and Grand Plaza Tumon location. Call their Hagåtña location at 479-2652 for reservations.
Welcome to Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie, the only show on talk radio where common sense is a lot more common. Phone lines are now open at 888-TALK. That's 888-8255. And now, The Point proudly brings you Tall Tales with Senator Bob Klitzkie.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And so begins the Thursday edition of Tall Tales for this week in October. It is now 4:07. My name is Jose Martinez. In our production booth is Daryl Taggarty. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is a good afternoon. It's warm. I think we're on cold mode all week. That the aircon's not on.
Music's good.
Aircon's on. I'm always warm. You can tell my jeans are not built for the islands. I don't understand why. They're not built for the cold either.
When you're hot, you're hot.
They're just built. And then God said, deal with it. Let's go to Jemmy Ikatni. And this is our version of Meet the Press. We're going to press the meat. It's an editorial from the Guam Pacific Daily News. And I've been trying to practice the best I can of what I remember. I know some of these words in Chamorro because there's a couple of them in this op-ed, this editorial. And please correct me if I'm not saying this
Are you talking to me?
correctly. Anybody online, do it phonetically. You can call in. So I'm going to start out with the title, Ekungu.
Ekungu?
Okay, I was pretty close, I think. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody out there, our international radio listening audience, because that is the answer to today's question. Today's question is, who are tailgaters, or who is a tailgater? We did a little bit of a backwards trivia there, the way Jeopardy does. But let's get back to Jemmy Ikatni. Ekungu, Manamko Tumanhoben series helps preserve Chamorro culture. Mobile devices, flat screens, computers, Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, and TikTok make up the veritable feast of entertainment modules that monopolize the minds and time of the modern era's technologically advanced youth. And Ray Gibson. He talks about what's going on TikTok a lot. But he can be considered the advanced youth of today.
He still has his eyes open.
These youngsters can set up user accounts to watch nearly any movie ever made and place dinner orders without ever leaving their bedrooms. How positive this transition into a virtual reality really is remains to be seen. But for every advancement and convenience that has grown from technology, a connection to our past and our heritage fades even more. Thankfully, the fight to maintain and strengthen the Chamorro identity is carried on by warriors of cultural preservation. Watch those weapons. They are insightful Guamanians, not always Chamorro by birth, inspired to protect what remains. I like how they put that little caveat in there, and you'll understand why. Inspired to protect what remains. From the stories passed down through oral traditions to the artifacts and language, there are so many Chamorros and Guamanians from Maleso to Montana who work daily to keep E. Costobran Chamorro from going strong for the next generation. And the preservation mission continues once again with the launch of the Manamco to Manhoban oral history video series, Anaso Siha Po I Manmapos, Memories of the Past. How'd I do?
If I had it written in front of me, I could correct you. Go ahead.
The project, co-directed by Kelly Marsh Titano, no longer a, and Edward Leon Guerrero, documents Chamorro elders as they reflect on and recount their lives, their memories, and experiences. Too many times our community elders' knowledge, skills, and experiences have been lost to the passage of time, although from them there is much to value, so much we have not learned, and so much that has not yet been made into our history books, Marsh Titano stated in a media release. Such cultural and historical information empowers our community and especially our youth by grounding them in their culture and their island. These are powerful tools in times of rapid modern change and in troubling times such as enduring the hardship and uncertainty of a pandemic. A free event to view the series will be held from 3 to 5 p.m. on October 29th at the Guam Museum Indoor Theater. We encourage families of all ages and ethnicities to attend and participate in activities that preserve Guam's unique identity. So, yep, another series, another Chamorro language series or Chamorro culture series. All of that's good. None of it's bad.
My concern was that this would qualify as an accomplishment of a candidate a week, 2 weeks before the election.
Did you see? We're on the same page here. I didn't want to bring that up.
There are other candidates that are.
I didn't want to bring it up, but
bringing up their, their accomplishments and what they're striving to do.
I know she's been working on this for a long time because I was contacted by her also. Nothing, just a real brief contact, but when I read this, I was like, oh yeah, I remember her talking about this.
I'm all for accomplishments.
Yeah,
I am. I'm all for accomplishments.
The timing. It's the timing. You're right.
On government facility, too.
I didn't want to bring it up, but I'm glad that you did, so I didn't have to.
It just occurred to me.
I'm sure it occurred to everybody else who read this.
Well,
mostly.
And I'm happy that she's doing it.
Yeah. So that's good. And then I'm not sure how it connects with all the technological stuff they announced before, but we've all endured slideshows and family vacation films and things like that, and the technology might be different, but the stories are the same, or the method of relaying history is almost the same. Also, it's through oral storytelling, and sometimes we don't get to hear these stories until our parents, our grandparents are much older, and they decide to reveal things to us at an older age.
I'm doing that with my kids.
Yeah.
And they're kind of getting, used to my storytelling. We're in the car, we got a half hour, I'll just tell them about something. and I'll tell them about, something that my parents went through,
It's good to document this stuff, and a lot of people don't think they have stories to tell, but they do, and you do have stories to tell, and if you want to attach it as a cultural project, that's good, that's fine, but I'm telling you, this is a worldwide thing. Everybody needs to be able to tell oral history, and that's the great thing about families and history and stuff, is that they're fragments of time that are told by people from their perspective. Sometimes a group of people have the same perspective, but we have to look at history as where it comes from, the stories, and sometimes leave the stories there, right? But be able to revisit and tell them now and leave it there. And I'm going to a little bit of the political thing of presentism, where they try to apply the same standards and mannerisms today as to something that happened yesterday or years ago, and it just doesn't fit. We know that. But it's good to hear these stories, because if you think about it, even our daily comforts, right? Our clothing is different. Our shoes are different.
Indoor plumbing.
Indoor plumbing.
I mean, when I was a kid, my grandmother up in Sinahania, they had a cement enclosed shower and bathroom. Mm-hmm. Well, not everybody in Sinahania, the old pre-urban.
But nowadays, that would be like flabbergasted, or that's technology then.
No, at the time, because there were still outhouses and whatnot in pre-urban Sinahania. Well, the houses were all jammed up against each other. So to have a semi-concrete building. Ah, wow. And a wood house.
And in a wooden house.
And a wood house.
Oh, okay.
It was built in 1945.
See, and again, stories are awesome. History is awesome. Just remind ourselves that when we're hearing these stories, they're meant to be for purposes of entertainment, knowledge. Don't use them to judge. Yeah, don't use them to judge or to persecute people.
It's history.
Like what your grandfather probably did ages ago to a relative of mine has nothing to do with our relationship. And I hope people understand that.
Yeah, I'm hoping, and this is a problem within the Chamorro community, in particular because of the war years.
Well, I have a special situation because my dad's side of the family on my great grandmother is the last name is Yamanaka. So I don't know too much about how that in exchange happened, even though I know that we were apart. My dad was very young, I think maybe 1 or 2 years old, right before the war ended. But my auntie, who just passed away recently, was 8 years old at the time. But even though she had the name Yamanaka as a surname, it wasn't. I don't think it was something that she identified with at the time either. But there's different experiences people had. I think what other Japanese families are here on the island?
How about Onodera?
Onodera. I'm trying to think of who runs Galati Group. Okada. Mm-hmm. Who else? Yeah, those kind of families.
And these names actually, Japanese businessmen were here since the turn of the century.
Oh yeah, my great grandfather came here. I want to say maybe in the 20s.
Right. Japan was expanding as a mercantile country and put out trading posts. Basically.
No, I don't get too many stories from my dad's side of the family because all of his siblings are much older and my cousins are much older. And maybe I should talk to them because they have more of the name or the stories. But I have the grandmother on my mom's side of the family who is 100 now. She's going to be 101 in May next year. Did experience the war in the Philippines with the Japanese occupation there, and she is telling stories. She's been telling stories, I think, for at least 30 or 40 years, but some of the more specific ones she started revealing like about 10 years ago. Well, to me, that I've never heard before. And again, I urge anybody who has an older parent or grandparent to talk about these things with them as an adult, because I'm sure there'll be things that are revealed that maybe they thought you couldn't handle it or weren't mature enough to listen to or hear it before.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Let's move on to the card because we have an interesting card today. Of course, systemic racism. I don't know if I have too many instances today of it, but I'm sure we can find some of them. That's Paul Zerzan versus systemic racism, where his rice is orange and everybody else's is red, even if it's from the same pot. Public Law 3634, I did not find any variances from the law or anything that goes, it's not following the Public Law 3634, but I did find something interesting, and I wish I wrote the page number down. Has to do with the commission. It's always a commission, right?
Or an omission.
Omission. The Civil Service Commission They have a meeting Thursday, October 27th at 9 a.m. It's in person. They also have a live stream of it. But old business, they have a mini hatch investigation report hearing. The complainant is Robert Klitzkie versus Roy T. Gamboa. So that's still on the docket. I don't know if they're waiting if they need Bob there in the meeting to finish that, but that was old business at the last meeting also. And then there's a couple of things that we've been talking about or mentioning. There is a signing of a judgment of dismissal of a Jeremy Flores versus Department of Corrections. Remember that has to do with one of the dismissals. Mm-hmm. And there is a decision and order of a Manny Tiafaji versus Department of Corrections as well. And there's several other things on the agenda here. But those are things that you've heard about here on Tall Tales, including our esteemed host, Robert Klitzkie, and his complaint against Roy T. Gamboa, former candidate Roy T. Gamboa.
And our esteemed host will be back a week from today.
I believe on the 27th, on the day of that meeting. I'm not sure if he's going to be there or not, but yeah.
There or here?
Or here. Oh, he'll be here. But there, I'm not sure. Somewhere out there. So on the card we have Durham, Durham, Durham versus the FBI, and that is the special investigator John Durham, who was looking into the Russian collusion scandal. And we heard a little bit about one guy who was deeply involved with it. I think the originator of the Steele dossier who was actually set free or found innocent of lying to the FBI. But we'll get to this real quick article or editorial from the Wall Street Journal. I have cockatoos versus humans. Very interesting article. I almost labeled it cockatoos versus Guam chickens, but you'll see why. MedHealth, GMH versus Guam Revenue Tax. And this is what I asked you about earlier today before the show started. This is a piece, a beginning of a piece or an investigation or an inquiry from Candid News, and I thought it was very interesting. The inquiry is interesting, and maybe if there's logic to it or there's a best practice that's happening, that would be a good thing to hear from somebody in the know. So when we get to that, I hope people call in and talk about that or help us talk about that. We have tourism industry versus tourists. This is from yesterday. Pre-condemnation owners and lawmakers versus the LGT campaign strategy. And then small business versus fiscal year 2024. I originally titled it versus time, but I thought we'll just put a specific year.
Okay.
And no reason. It's just because I did. So let's get to bring on the Durham report, which is Durham versus the FBI. And we all know that there was an impeachment of our President Trump. The first impeachment, I think, has to do with the Steele dossier and his collusion with Russians.
No, the first one was the asking the president of Ukraine if he would do something for him.
I thought that was the second one.
No, the second one was January 6th.
I thought that was Joe Biden.
The first one,
sorry,
2016.
Okay,
2016 Steele dossier.
Oh, the Steele dossier was about
Russian collusion in the 2016
election. Okay. The special counsel can now tell the story of the FBI and the Russia collusion probe. John Durham lost again in court on Tuesday as a jury acquitted Igor Danchenko of lying to the FBI. But the special counsel has already won the larger battle to expose the dirty political machinations behind the FBI's Russia collusion probe of the 2016 Donald Trump campaign. Mr. Durham's investigation uncovered that Mr. Danchenko was the primary source for the infamous Christopher Steele dossier that the FBI based much of its probe on, and his claims were false. But the jury may not have believed the FBI was a victim when Mr. Durham also exposed the Bureau's own disgraceful behavior. To wit, the FBI's decision to hide the dossier's political provenance paid by the Hillary Clinton campaign, its deceptions to the secret court that approved its surveillance application, and its refusal to publicly acknowledge that the dossier and the collusion accusations were false. The jury can be forgiven for doubting the FBI was duped. Sorry, that's funny. Mr. Durham may be winding down his investigation, but he is still obliged to produce a report to the Attorney General that sums up his efforts and what he learned. He can knit together the information he's been relaying piecemeal through court filings. Please bring it on and don't spare the details of any of the participants. His report should be devoted to educating the public about what really happened and why. No doubt some of those participants will lobby Attorney General Merrick Garland to keep a report confidential. Obama-era Justice Department flack Matthew Miller is already suggesting Mr. Durham shouldn't be the person that gets to have the final word on the Russia investigation. Really? Former Attorney General Bill Barr made Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report public, though it failed to disclose the dirty details that Mr. Durham found. Mr. Mueller, current FBI Director Christopher Wray, and dozens of other Department of Justice officials would prefer that the public be kept in the dark about one of the worst abuses in FBI history. Mr. Durham, who was appointed by Mr. Barr, is the only reason America has had a glimpse of the FBI abuses. Any attempt to squelch his report would compound the scandal.
I ask. Mm-hmm. Do you need a report? You already know what happened. You've already accepted it as fact. Why do you need a report?
Because a report,
fact-based?
A report would bring credentials to it, and a report would probably satisfy a lot of people, even though it might not feel like it's satisfaction to you or people who are anti-Trumpers or already have a predisposed guilty verdict on him. But it does help when you have a report in hand. It does help to have something that is congruent to all the other false reports and media posturing that happened in the past 4 years. It continues to happen because even though he's not even running for office and he's not even in elected office, they're still going after him because apparently Trump derangement is a long-term affliction.
I agree that a report should be issued. Mm-hmm. But if there's something that's not satisfactory to those, if it doesn't go far enough, will it be acceptable?
Well, who knows? There's always going to be people who say, bring him to the gallows. Other people will say, okay, well, now we know. And that's up to other people to understand. But as long as we have a report that's written, something that clarifies things, and, who knows, somebody can say also, well, that report is swayed on one side or the other. But at least we get some of the stuff actually explained instead of things that we know that were false, but never reported.
In that editorial you just read,
yeah,
it said nothing about the specifics of the jury decision in Durham's case. And now that's the end of the Durham investigation, right? Mm-hmm. But the editorial is only about issuing Durham to issue a report.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with what a jury of 12 people.
Well, this is not talking about the Igor Danchenko case, but that's a part of the report. But I'm sure there's this is not even an article on the report or the case. This is just an editorial saying
on a prospective report by Durham.
Yes, and it should go out. So that's the thing, and I think people, especially our international radio listening audience in the States, don't even don't go quiet on this, because I think this is important. Whether anybody agrees with Trump and his politics or even his years in office, that this could happen to any president, and people would keep quiet about it, or you have a whole department who has a whole incredible conspiracy against one singular elected official. It's incredible. And I'm sure it happens to other elected officials, but on this scale, because somebody that came out of not the Washington swamp became president, and that scared a lot of people, including Republicans, including diehard Republicans. It's amazing that happened to Donald Trump, and he's not a perfect person.
No,
but
he's from the Eastern establishment.
But it makes me feel like anybody who runs for office is going to be, and who's not a regular politician, is going to be raked through the coals like this, and things are going to be falsified. And it's amazing because he was cherished by most of these people all throughout his years as a businessman until he ran for office.
Another
that scared a lot of them.
Eastern elite.
And it scared a lot of them. It scared a lot of them because he wasn't going to do what they wanted him to do, period. And I know you've been in Washington, so you have to defend your people.
I also know how that place works.
Exactly.
And yeah, there's a lot of truth to it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the point. And whether or not we do hear the Durham report, we do know that Trump derangement goes on, and we're probably going to hear about it for years. Even when he's gone, his children are going to be persecuted for walking on the wrong side of the street. And we're just going to have to stop and shake our heads and say, enough already, people. Enough already. But let's move on.
And go vote.
Yeah, go vote. That doesn't matter. You know that you can stay in your basement the whole time and not campaign and probably win an election. You could also not attend any debates and just ghost and throw shade on your other candidates and probably win an election.
Because it's rigged?
I didn't say that. You said that. Did you?
No, actually, Donald Trump, the candidate, said that in 2016, like in October.
Oh, boy.
September. Yeah, late August, early September.
Your derangement is showing.
Oh, no.
Let's move on to the next one. The next one.
How about a break?
The next thing on the card. Oh, that's a good idea. We're going to go to a break. You're listening to Tall Tales. I want to get to this one. I'm excited about this one. It's kind of funny. But we'll be right back with more Tall Tales here on KUSG 93.3 FM. Don't go away. More news from cockatoos.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
Does your physical workplace have an impact on the mental outlook of workers, their overall job satisfaction, and their productivity? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we'll talk about that and what you might want to do about it. It's The Extra Point here on 93.3.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
Are you looking for a new place to hang out with your friends? Let's go along the sidelines at Sidelines Bar and Grill. Located at 154 Iriarte Road, Unit 4 and 5 in Tamuning behind Royal Bigs. Sidelines, a hidden gem with nothing but great things to offer. Great atmosphere, great food, top shelf drinks, and a great team. What are we waiting for? Let the fun begin at Sidelines Bar and Grill. Open daily from 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. See you there.
We now return to Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie, soaring over the confusion with his superpowers of truth. Call 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Daryl, do you have a lot of chickens and roosters in your yard?
We counted them the other day. We have 14, not including chicks.
14.
Not
including the little ones.
Yeah, they were all standing in one spot. So
now, can you maybe grid your front lawn and estimate how many chickens they are by how many holes you have in each grid? Mark?
No, because they dig multiple holes.
They dig multiple holes. I have lots of holes in my side yard, and it's crazy because I don't see them out there during the day. But I guess I don't know.
They dig at this hour.
This is the time. Yeah, he's not here. Let's go. But I mean, the chickens on the island, I wouldn't call them the smartest out there. They have bird brains. It's like all of them.
They're the smartest in my neighborhood.
But if you think they're smart, Australia has a weird problem right now in this place called Stanwell Park, and this is cockatoos versus humans. And this issue has gotten so much attention that they're doing a study on it now. Cockatoos are getting smarter. Should humans be worried? And that's the title of this article. Stanwell Park, Australia. Outside a local cafe, a sulfur-crested cockatoo perched on a garbage bin trying to open the lid. Another loitered nearby, waiting to see if its companion found tasty morsels in the trash. Now, okay, just so people can understand,
they use trash cans as bird feeders.
That's their first mistake, right? So,
just feed them already.
What was the name of that police process show back in the late 60s, early 70s, where the guy had a cockatoo on his shoulder? Come on, I know our listening radio audience knows who this is. That's what a cockatoo is. It's a big white bird, I think, with a yellow crest on top. Now, my mom had several. My parents had several cockatiels growing up, and those are pretty smart. Yes, Benedoso Tautau said Beretta. That's what it was. I can't remember the name of the actor. I know. I always get them mixed up with those shows back then with like Kojak, Telly Savalas, and what's the other one with the? He was in Princess Bride as a grandfather. That was another.
Oh, that does not help.
Robert Blake. There you go. Thanks. Our audience is
sometimes.
Our audience is very smart, very knowledgeable, especially when it comes to popular culture. So, anyways, Robert Blake Beretta had a pet cockatoo, or at least during the opening credits, you'll see it all the time. And this is the kind of bird it is. It's a type of parrot that's native to Australia. And these birds are acting out of a common sense in this beachside suburb. There was a lock on the bin, but it seemed either broken or not properly closed, and coffee cups littered the street. It is chaos every Tuesday morning, said Grant Drinkwater, 61, who had experimented with various devices to stop cockatoos from getting into his bins, which are collected that day each week. Some people put bricks on top of their bins, but the cockatoos just push them off with their nose. This otherwise idyllic coastal neighborhood is ground zero for what scientists call a potential innovation arms race between humans and cockatoos battling for control of the area's garbage bins. As the cockatoos figure out ways into people's bins, their humans respond with ever more elaborate devices to protect their garbage.
They haven't used fire yet, right? Fire was invented a long, long time ago.
Trashy, the birds will probably put it out with they'll probably call 911. I don't know if it's 911 in Australia. Maybe it's 116. Get it?
Yes.
Okay. Trashy encounters between man and beast aren't uncommon, as any suburban resident who has tried to keep raccoons out of the rubbish can attest. But in Australia, the age-old tension has reached wild heights. The unusual bird bin opening, a behavior that scientists believe developed only in recent years,
they must be really hungry,
is now the subject of rigorous academic study. Researchers say it's a unique opportunity to investigate how two species can learn, that is, cockatoos teaching others how to get into bins, or people swapping bin protection methods with their neighbors to quickly adapt to what the other is doing.
How about the internet?
It sounds like that.
Or Amazon.
Yeah. The cockatoos, right? Many days the cockatoos seem to be winning. Mr. Drinkwater thought he had a solution. He attached a piece of wood to the underside of his bin lid, which he figured would make it too heavy for the cockatoos to lift. And it worked until the lid snapped off during trash collection one week when a garbage truck used a robotic arm to grab the bin and turn it upside down. He then switched to using a brick, but the cockatoos knocked it over out of the way and threw trash all over the street. Now he wedges a plastic drink bottle in the hinge of the lid, which he says prevents the birds from fully flipping it open. But some of his neighbors still have their guard down. On a recent trash day, an unprotected bin on the street was hit. It was a demolition derby, said Mr. Drinkwater, recalling one particularly bad morning when cockatoos passed garbage or when tossed garbage everywhere. To open a bin, a cockatoo generally uses its beak and foot to lift the lid, shuffle along the side of it, and then flip it over. Only a small percentage of cockatoos can flip the lid, but once it's open, other birds dive in to search for food. In a recent study, scientists found 52 different ways that people protected their bins from cockatoos. That ranged from weighting the bin lid to shoving old sneakers or a pool noodle in the hinge to fitting specially designed commercial latches into bins that residents called cocky locks. I almost don't want to finish reading this because this is really silly.
Well,
but I think this is funny.
It is funny.
In one case, someone tried to scare away the cockatoos with a rubber snake. Another person installed spikes to prevent the cockatoos from landing. I was just super excited about the variety, said Barbara Klump, a behavioral ecologist at the Max Planck Institute of Animal Behavior, a scientific research institute in Germany, who led the research. Of course. Originally, I thought, how many methods can there be to block the access to a bin? This is really first world problems here.
A hasp. You don't even have to use a padlock.
They've
Just put a
tried
bolt
that.
through that.
They've tried that.
No.
The researchers grouped the bin protection devices into multiple categories based on their sophistication and confirmed the birds could defeat low efficacy methods like a rock on top of a bin. The study, published in the scientific journal Current Biology, included a picture of a cockatoo pushing away a brick. Employing what they called a spatial network approach, the scientists found there were clusters of bins with similar protection methods. They also used data from an online survey to develop a mathematical model to show how humans countermeasure changes over the years. The cockatoos are good problem solvers, said Richard Major, a bird ecologist at the Australian Museum. They generally eat a lot of grass, seeds, roots, berries, but clearly aren't picky. Dr. Major said he's seen a cockatoo eating a chicken drumstick. That's unbelievable. And gorging on what looked like a whole baked fish carcass. They've actually started to work in packs, said Edith McNally, a retired school principal, who often sees cockatoos rummaging through bins on her morning walks in the neighborhood. It's like gang warfare.
It's just garbage. And, and they're only talking about them. They've only mentioned them getting into full bins.
Yeah. There's more. Residents say the key to prevent the birds from flipping the lid, which allows the other birds to raid the bin. Oh, it's to prevent it from flipping the lid, but the defense still has to allow the bin lid to open for the garbage truck. And then they talk about other ways they used to block the lid. I got to say the sentence because it's just hilarious. Now she uses a cocky lock, which she says seems to be effective. There's even one Australian company who makes these types of locks called Secure Lid. It's a gravity-release device mechanism that disengages the main latch when the bin is tilted by garbage collectors. Scientists say,
So humans are smarter than cockatoos.
Scientists say research needs to be done. Dr. Klump and her colleague are still running a survey to see if the bin opening behavior spreads to other areas. I don't get mad at the birds. The birds, they just do what they do, said Kate Bridgeford, 22, who works at a cafe. Those are our raccoons. Okay, we heard the story, cockatoos versus humans, right? Who is the smarter one? Who is getting the best of who? I'm saying that the cockatoos are getting the best of humans who are wasting their money on these studies to try to get these birds. What you got to do is just make friends with them. Give them hugs. Call your local social.
Or don't put food waste in the trash.
But this is
leave it out for the.
But this is
birds.
Hilarious, though. This is
a bird feeder.
Can you imagine if there was a study like this? Well, maybe people are doing these studies and they don't want to reveal it because it does seem kind of amusing and sometimes even could seem wasteful. But people having problems with cockatoos getting into garbage generates this much activity, including studies from a university or a behavioral school in Germany. That's why I say that's why they say the cockatoos won. Because the cockatoos are still doing what they want to do, and that's trying to get the garbage, and the people are actually wasting more money. They're probably throwing away more money than they are garbage at this, which I think is hilarious. So there you go. The cockatoos win. That's my verdict. There you go. It is 4:44. I see you on the line, Johnny Utah. I want to go to a real quick break because I have a feeling we might be here for a while. It's a good subject. We're going to go to a real quick break. You're listening to Tall Tales here on 93.3 FM KUSG. My name is Jose. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more.
Tell me about it, stud.
Circle K's Craft Beer and Whiskey Festival is back on Saturday, October 22nd. We rockin' and rollin' at the Dusatani Guam Resort from 2 to 10 p.m. Bring your friends and come dressed in your best grease costume to win up to $500 in cash and prizes. So bust out those leather jackets and 50-style outfits as we party the night away at Circle K's Craft Beer and Whiskey Fest. Don't be a square. Get your tickets now at craftbeerfestguam.com or cruise on by any 76 Circle K location. Now that's cool, baby.
Choice Broadcasting introduces their unbeatable lineup of morning shows.
Hands down winners of Guam's morning radio battle.
Daryl Lizama grooves his way through Boss 104 playing Guam's favorite classic hits.
Morning Mouth Ray Gibson shakes the cage on 93.3 The Point.
And now, we are proud to announce the Morning Blender with Kyle Mandapat, mixing it up at sunrise on Star 101.
If you're an advertiser trying to reach the most valuable ears, we've got the shows that listeners have been tuning into for decades.
One call gets all three.
671-888-7346. That's 888-RGIO.
And we're back. Let's wrap up this cockatoo stuff. Jose Topago, because he's a Jose, had the right mindset. He goes, let's see here. I don't know what is more funny, that cockatoos can do all this or that a human observed and documented it and got paid. That's exactly right. That's what made this story funny for me. Not the activity of the cockatoos, but the activity of these humans. That's a great way to study.
Someone
humans.
found a way to monetize this issue,
and they're probably and it made it into the media. They did a full-blown article, and kudos to that reporter who made money off of that too. In the green room, and I haven't heard from him in a while. Good afternoon or good evening, Johnny Utah. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's actually going on 1 a.m. here.
Oh, okay. Good early morning.
Yeah,
go to sleep. Like good gracious. Good God. So you have a comment on TDS? I'm sure it's made its way out there to you in Utah.
Well, I was listening to you and Daryl go back and forth on Trump, and you were asking him to hide his Trump derangement syndrome, and there's a couple of points that I want to make, and then I want to hear from Daryl actually.
Okay.
The thing is that there really is this thing called Trump derangement syndrome, and it is, rampant amongst liberal and Democrats, or even moderate Democrats. And the further we get into this Democratic administration, the harder it is for me to understand it, to understand why they hate Trump. Because the more that you do a comparison of the two administrations, it's not. I'm sorry. You have to be blind. You have to lie to yourself to say that this administration is doing a better job than what happened underneath Trump. In all aspects. We're on the brink of nuclear war. That's the biggest one right there. Not to mention inflation, lack of economic growth. All the, there's a whole long laundry list of topics that the Republicans are running on, and they're killing the Democrats in the mainland right now, big time with it, because the only thing the Democrats are running on is abortion and January 6th. Now, I admit, when I was on Guam when January 6th happened, and as I watched it happen, I said, "This is bad. This is not good." I said, "This is all that's going to happen is this is going to be used against the conservative movement." I said that the minute I was watching it on TV, it was not okay, but it was obvious that there was something more to January 6th than just a quote unquote insurrection or whatever the left is going down this. They're really exaggerating. Come on, seriously, they're exaggerating. There's only one person killed on January 6th, and that was a female veteran that was unarmed, and it was obvious that they let everyone in. So,
and the officer who shot her was curiously exonerated without even an investigation, which I thought was interesting as well.
There's so many details here. So my point, going back to Trump derangement syndrome, I want to ask Daryl a question. I want to ask him, what is it that makes the left and the liberals literally hate Donald Trump? Because I'll just make one quick point. He donated his salary, his entire salary that he got paid by the taxpayers. He gave it back to the federal government. He didn't even take a salary. And that's a lot less than what Biden's family's done, and it's pretty obvious because it's coming out with the laptop and the relationship with the Chinese and the Russians between those families on how much money they actually took from the taxpayers,
including Biden's brother. Including his brother.
Yeah, not to mention what's going on in Ukraine. I mean, what? So I want to know, what is it, Daryl, that makes you hate Donald Trump?
Okay, let me. I don't hate him. I am completely mystified on how the Republican Party could take legitimate grievances. I'm talking about the base, having legitimate grievances about the shortcomings of the Democratic Party leadership over the last 30, 40 years, and then pull up as their hero a member of the Eastern elite.
Well, hold on a second, real quick.
Wait, this is my time here.
No.
And also,
wait.
you remember the comment about the deplorables.
Slow down.
Right?
Let me clarify real quick before you go off on the Republican Party. People voted him in that were not even Republicans. It was the people who voted him, not a party that voted him in. So let's clarify.
I don't have a dispute with that.
That's why we have this disagreement in the United States right now.
He was elected in 2016, but not in 2020. Huh?
Because people who voted for him, and that's fine, but people who voted for him, they're the ones that are getting the shade from other people. Families are divided, societies are divided, communities are divided, all because of this derangement that's perpetuated and propagated through the media and through other elitists. And that's the problem. I think people take this personally because of the way that Donald Trump was raked over the coals just for being Donald Trump and for voters for voting for him. We can't even claim to be Trump voters in the States 3 years ago. Well, I didn't because I'm on Guam. Because, what happened to you?
Did Johnny ask you?
It doesn't matter. My name is right here.
Daryl, I'm waiting to interrupt him. I want to hear Daryl's opinion.
Okay. I'll give it to you, Johnny.
I agree that the Trump base has a legitimate reason for being upset with Democratic Party leadership over the last 40, 50 years. It's legitimate. It's good. Remember Hillary Clinton's deplorables comment? It was telling, and she should have lost the election because of that. Because that's no way to describe other Americans, but for the kind of campaigning that Donald Trump has done to capture that base, and just to get his hands on the levers of power in the United States and use it for his agenda, not the agenda of the people that he's. Now he had 4 years to do it, and yesterday I had a side discussion on our Facebook page about how he couldn't get control of the federal government in the 4 years he was in power.
Because they were the deep state also. Listen, just take a deep breath real quick. Let me just bring it down because it's a little bit high-pitched. Just bring it down a bit. Just remember, okay, he's asking you, what is the derangement?
Why I hate Donald Trump. I don't. Okay. I don't hate him. I don't like what he stands for, which is just another set of politicians who are trying to get their hands on the levers of power, and he's pulling the wool over the very people who support him, because he's not for that. He's for himself.
Can I interrupt for a second, Daryl?
Hold on.
I really want to have a civil conversation.
Okay.
So your issue is that he's doing the exact same thing that all the Democrat leadership is doing, is going for power. So that to me is not a fair reason to be angry at him. But I am going to acknowledge your point that you're making, that he's trying to make his agenda. But my question is, because I agree with Jose, to me, his agenda is for the American people. So can you tell me what was his agenda that you're angry about?
I think that the people who are looking to him, like you, who are looking to him to be the solution to your perceived problems with the way that the country is going.
Why do you keep
direction of the country.
insulting Johnny?
I'm just saying.
He doesn't have perceived notions. I think he's very smart.
I was asked a question.
But you don't have to insult Johnny, though.
I'm just saying that I'm talking about the base generally.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Daryl. I'm not even 100% that Trump is going to be our guy in 2024. I think it's going to be, it could be Carrie Lake. Have you listened to Carrie Lake lately? My God, she's impressive as hell. But at any rate, back to your point, what is it that Donald Trump has done that makes what's his agenda? You're telling me he has an agenda. What is it?
It's to replace diction.
Okay.
You asked me a question now. Okay, I'm answering the question.
Know.
Unless you don't want me. No, I don't know. I just heard his question. Now you don't want me to answer it?
I'm with you, Daryl. I want to hear what you have to say. I really do.
The Trump derangement syndrome is a problem among his base, because we can't have a civil discussion if we can't agree on the terms of the English language that we share. There is so much.
Okay, can we both agree that a man can't have a baby? We can both agree on that, right?
But he can get screwed. He can't have a baby, but he can get screwed every which way and every day.
Well, then we're cool. If you can agree with that, then we're on the same sheet of music. But I want to know. I'm trying to really get at the point of what it is that Trump has done that angers you. Obviously angers you because you are getting upset, and I don't want you to get upset. I really don't. I'm really calling in to have a civil conversation.
Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning.
No. Johnny, I appreciate your call. Yeah. We're coming close to the top of the hour. I'm gonna regain control of the program. I allowed the back and forth. There was a bit of silence, a little longer than we would have wanted for an answer that you should have already formulated in your mind, Daryl. But today is not about therapy. Today is about
let me
finish.
The question I was answering.
Let me finish, okay? You had your chance to answer, but you kind of hesitated, which meant you had to think about it.
Me.
No,
yeah,
I did not.
Because I just heard the question.
I'm going to interrupt you now again.
I should think, right?
Let me finish. That's okay.
I'm smiling, Johnny.
It's okay.
I'm trying to get an answer to a question. That's all.
Listen, this is fine. I understand where you're both coming from, but this is what I want to think. This is what I want to do. What I want to do is have people read the Durham report. Read the report that what's his name? Mueller, the Mueller report.
What you're talking about,
right? And then do a comparison of who was telling the truth, who was being forthright, and then you're right. You have a question of what exactly did Trump have on the agenda? Just cite that agenda or cite what he did. Let me finish, please. Cite what he accomplished as far as gaining power for himself, because quite frankly, I think he did a horrible job of doing that, if that was his agenda. But the derangement is there. The derangement is incredibly there. But what's funny is that there's no derangement for Biden, who's actually destroying this country from his absolute actions that everyone has seen. And that's what makes me crack up about all this. Johnny, thank you for calling in. We only have a. Go ahead. Finish up.
No, but the bill, that Steele dossier, the not guilty verdict in that case with the Russian, the biggest point that case is the main reason why the Republicans are happy about that, what happened there, is because that is an exposure of the FBI and the fallacies and the corruption and the mistakes of the FBI, and that's who they're really going to go after, is the FBI.
We're seeing that they're messing up left and right, or they're revealing their political posturing left and right, and it's actually kind of embarrassing for our country.
It is embarrassing. It's totally embarrassing. That's why I want to ask a legitimate question to Daryl and get a real answer. What are we doing wrong? What's going on?
Okay.
Don't answer because we only have a couple more seconds left. Johnny, send them your email, your connections, your credentials.
We can do it
on Facebook Messenger, and then you guys can hug it out in California or something. You're listening to Tall Tales here on KUSG 93.3 FM. We'll come back to civility at the top of the hour. We're going to be showing you the Rogues Gallery during the big halftime show. Please don't go away. One more hour left until Friday.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
Trying to boost U.S. electric vehicle battery production. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. The Biden administration has awarded $2.8 billion in grants to 20 companies to make parts for or process raw materials to make EV batteries in the U.S. President Biden also announcing an initiative to make sure those raw materials are available.
This initiative is going to be led by the White House and housed in the Department of Energy, with the support of the Department of Interior, to secure America's electric vehicle battery supply chain and clean energy future. And we're going to do it the right way, respecting the rights of tribes, creating good-paying union jobs, and protecting the environment and local communities.
At the same time, the president has ordered another 15 million barrels drained from the nation's emergency oil stockpile and sold in an effort to bring down gasoline prices. The Social Security Administration says it will allow people to select their gender identity when applying for benefits.
The agency has made the selection part of its announced Equity Action Plan. Commissioner Kilolo Kijakazi says the agency wants people who see themselves as gender diverse to have that option to self-identify. An executive order from President Biden in June laid the groundwork for the agency's action, and it may not stop there. Future procedural shifts may allow an X on Social Security cards for those who don't identify as male or female. That's a process the State Department started implementing on citizenship documents last year.
Fox's Gernal Scott. A new government report finds dangers for expectant mothers and their unborn babies from COVID-19, especially Black and Hispanic mothers. The study finds pregnancy-related deaths have spiked nearly 80% since 2018, with COVID-19 being a factor in a quarter of the nearly 1,200 deaths reported last year. America is listening to Fox News.
Gas is expensive, so let the bank come to you. Through our remote deposit capture, you can deposit your checks into your account from your phone. And with our Dynamite Bank Pacific Visa debit card, you can use your money anytime, anywhere. It's the perfect combo.
Now we're banking on the future. Services to choose. Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender. Member FDIC. Crank it up.
Come try Guam's original Chamorro restaurant with Pica's Best 5 years running. Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Experience Chef Peter's candied salmon over scallion coconut rice, octopus to naktak, Chamorro platter, and their award-winning gourmet hamburgers. Or if you're looking for something healthy, try their keto-friendly menu. Come and enjoy Mezcla's half-a-day service at their Hagåtña and Grand Plaza Tuman location. Call their Hagåtña location at 479-2652 for reservations.
The trial of the man accused of plowing his vehicle through a Wisconsin Christmas parade last year continues.
One of the Waukesha County prosecutor witnesses Wednesday was Wisconsin State Patrol mechanical inspection expert Brian Schultz. He was asked if he noticed anything with the vehicle suspect Daryl Brooks was driving that would have prevented it from stopping had the brakes been applied. He said no. The trial's been marked by numerous disruptions. Brooks is representing himself, and while he's been removed from the courtroom before, the judge admonished him Wednesday.
Sir, you say things like it's not fair, or you make noises that suggest like you're disgusted with the ruling that is made.
So you're assuming what I mean by that, and when did I say it wasn't fair?
Mr. Brooks, I'm just making a record.
Brooks faces more than 70 charges, including 6 counts of intentional homicide. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Oklahoma death row inmate Benjamin Cole has only hours left to live. He's to be given a lethal injection later this morning for the 2002 murder of his 9-month-old daughter. State of Maryland will review about 100 autopsies of people who died in police custody because of concerns about the state's former medical examiner and his testimony in the death of George Floyd. Medical experts have raised those concerns about the work of Dr. David Fowler, asserting that his testimony in Derek Chauvin's trial deviated from standard medical practice in assessing the cause of death. In the baseball playoffs Wednesday,
San Diego rallied from a 4-run deficit to defeat the Philadelphia Phillies 8-5. The National League Championship Series is tied at 1 game all. The Padres scored 8 unanswered runs. Brandon Drury and Josh Bell hit back-to-back homers. In the second inning, Drury added a 2-run single as part of a 5-run fifth. Houston defeated the New York Yankees 4-2 in the ALCS opener. Yuli Gurriel and Chas McCormick both homered in the 6th inning off Yankee reliever Clark Schmidt. For McCormick, it was his first career postseason home run. Bob Mortale, Fox News.
And I'm Jack Callahan. This is Fox News.
Listen to The Point anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Find your favorite stations like The Point and discover more. Music stations, local and trusted news sources, sports talk and team coverage, plus today's biggest podcasts. Find it all on the Odyssey app. AUDACY.
Half a day. This is Clara Manglania from Security Title. A power of attorney can be a useful tool in a real estate transaction, but if abused, it can result in devastating loss. Choosing your representative should be done with the utmost care and should be very specific about the powers being granted. To mitigate loss, the team at Security Title confirms with the owner prior to using a power of attorney to sell the property. Each transaction is unique. Let the professionals at Security Title use our experience to facilitate a secure closing. We are here to help.
We're already Pika's best radio station,
and we want to keep it that way. Voting for Pika's best radio station is on and underway. If you've already voted for The Point, thank you. If not, there's still time to get yours in. We're honored that many of you have nominated us again, and we'll keep looking for ways to keep you informed, up to date, and entertained. Fox News, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie and all the great talk shows from around the USA. Tell a friend and share your votes with all The Point's super advertisers. Thanks from all the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
The big halftime show with our Rogues Gallery slideshow. Those of you who are watching the stream on Facebook or on YouTube.com right now were able to watch the Rogues Gallery. Those are the people who had obtained a I'm a Tailgater t-shirt, the official Tall Tales t-shirt of this program. And they put it on, took a selfie, had someone take a group photo of them, and sent it to the Points WhatsApp at 671-797-8255, and were put on the rotation of the Rogues Gallery. Now, if you were paying attention, the second to the last picture, the one with the gentleman wearing the I'm a Tailgater t-shirt in front of the display of firearms, was our very own Johnny Utah. He was visiting a rifle range or shooting range, and I think that's part of their either a display of what they own or what they have, or that you could also utilize on the firing range.
That Thompson machine gun?
Probably. I don't know. There's probably replicas out there like that. But, yeah, that was... Replicas?
Why wouldn't you have a real one?
I don't know if they're legal, because it is an automatic. Right?
I don't think they had to turn them in. They just had to have them registered.
Oh, okay. I think fully automatics you're not allowed to own, unless I guess it's
that law
grandfather caused.
That
we all know
law
that
expired.
Did it?
It had a
okay.
Yeah, it had a time limit on it, or Congress said no.
So here I'm just putting a face to the voice, and this is the object of Daryl's nightmares every evening at 4 o'clock.
How do you know?
I'm just kidding. Let's leave that one alone. Let's leave that one in the first hour.
There's a Thompson right there.
Is there?
At least it's set up to look like one, but the clip doesn't look right.
That would be magazine. I'm not a firearms expert, but I know that we shouldn't say clip anymore. We should say magazine. I want to get to this card here. Let's see, the next thing here on the card is Med Health GMH versus Guam Rev and Tax. I'm not even sure how to title this one. This is a beginning of a investigative piece or an expose or an inquiry by Candid News talking about a private company, who is a collections agency, and they were placed under contract by our governor and also signed into contract by Attorney General Levin Camacho. So I'm going to, before we get to that, we have a caller who wants to make his mark on automatic weapons. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to Talk.
Yes, automatic weapons are legal, but only in certain states and only for people who have certain licenses.
Oh, okay.
And now, if he's in Utah, I'm not sure what the laws are there, but like you can go in Vegas, you can go to the gun shops and shoot fully automatic weapons.
Okay.
Or the shooting ranges.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some states that allow it, and there are a lot of states that don't.
Now, you do have to have a license to carry a firearm here on Guam. Do you have to have one? Do you have to have one to use one also?
No, carrying and using are the same thing.
Oh, okay.
But using one, like say in self-defense or whatever, castle doctrine, all that stuff. It all depends on the circumstances surrounding it.
Okay. So the reason why I'm asking is because we do have firing ranges here on Guam for the tourists, right? I've seen some in Tumon.
So that's an exception where as long as they're under the direct supervision of a licensed range master, then they're allowed to handle the gun and use it.
Does that apply to all the shooting ranges on Guam as well, or just the tourist one?
So.
Okay, because I know there's one in PD also. Yeah. Yes.
The PD one, I don't even know if it's open yet. It was closed for a long time because of some dispute over access to the land or something like that. I don't remember it offhand. But, the private one up there at the old Munoz range up at for JTM Bench Rest, their new location, I don't know if they, who knows? I haven't been there since they opened up, but they might have the same thing where they can, you can pay to rent a gun and yeah.
Now, the ones, the shooting, I don't know how many are left here in Tumon, but the shooting range that are here in Tumon, do they also have a good assortment of different kind of firearms? Like, are there automatics there?
No. Okay. Automatic weapons are only either the military or the Guam police.
Oh, not for entertainment.
Not for entertainment.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for that information. I'm always curious when people call in with something I have no idea on, and you've satisfied that curiosity.
Yeah. Well, okay. I have a disclaimer. Now, legally, automatic weapons are only for the police and the military, but you hear them on New Year's Eve. Everywhere.
Yeah.
So
I'm from Mongmong, so yes, I know.
Oh, you are? Okay, so I know exactly which area you're talking about. So either Mongmong or Agate or there's a couple of places in Sinahanya back.
Very familiar.
So,
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, Mark. Thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate it.
All right.
You have a good one. All right. Bye-bye. All righty. And I'm going to get to this next caller, Tobias. I think I might know what you're talking about. Tobias, good afternoon and welcome to Tall Tales. You want to talk about pregnancy support services?
Yeah, have a day, Jose. Excuse me. Yeah, thanks for taking my call and thanks for your time. So Safe Haven is a pregnancy resource center. They're currently located in Petey, in the former Harley-Davidson building, the motorcycle shop in Petey. And they're looking to relocate to the old Evangelical Christian Academy, which is located in Chalanpago, just before the traffic light that leads you down into Pago Bay. So the facility still needs to be renovated, and they're currently going through the process of, so you could say, gutting the facility, taking all the stuff, all sorts of debris and junk out. And so this Saturday, starting at 0900, 9 a.m., we're looking for volunteers and even potentially trucks to help move some of this debris into a dumpster. It's like a large dumpster that you can lease It's on site, so there's debris that we can move inside, and there's also some appliances and other trash that needs to be taken off site, either to a recycling receiver or a metal receiver, or even the Harmon transfer station is what we're thinking. So we can use help to prepare Safe Haven's new home. What Safe Haven is they're a pregnancy resource center. So they provide free pregnancy tests. They have an ultrasound machine, and they provide lots of support throughout a woman's pregnancy and even through the first year of their baby's life. And so they provide real confidential, non-judgmental, compassionate care, client advocate type support kind of stuff.
Right. Okay. So are you calling for the volunteers to come to Assen or Chalampago?
Chalampago.
Okay.
The project site for this Saturday would be in Chalampago at the former Evangelical Christian.
Somebody actually sent me the announcement that says volunteers needed and information. So I'm posting it right now. You can view it on Facebook on the stream or on YouTube right now. And I'm assuming they can call you. You're the project leader, Tobias, at 864-8629.
That's correct.
Okay, so if you have any questions or would like to volunteer, you can call Tobias at 671-864-8629. They need lots of hands and maybe a couple of trucks to move things to a dump. Yeah.
Yeah, if I also may add, we'll have food and drinks for the volunteers. We'll have limited PPE. We may be able to get our hands on more. But if you have your own gloves or even some eye protection, please wear shoes. If you don't have steel toe, just as long as they're closed toe, that would be ideal, just so you have more stability as you're, carrying things and stuff like that. But
very good.
We really appreciate anyone's help.
Very good, very good, awesome. Can I ask you a question? And this is pertaining to the heartbeat bill, which is supposed to be on the docket today at the legislature. Have you had any word on it or any updates or seen what's happening down there?
I have not, unfortunately.
Okay, we'll just wait and see. I know that they're bringing it up. I don't think it's a deal breaker for election time right now because for me, and I don't know if you've listened to the program before, I'm extremely anti-abortion, and I am always going to be that way. I'm always going to be promoting pro-life legislature. So whether it passes because of this election or not doesn't matter to me. But I really hope that they look at this bill and implement it. I'm not a big fan of exceptions, but if it helps to pass the bill, I'll grumble, but I'll accept it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Sometimes you gotta take salami slices and move in order to move the ball forward. In the exceptions, even if they, insist on exceptions, we're still talking about 1% of. Right. I mean, on a nation, using national statistics, I really don't know, what the statistics are.
It's very low. Yes.
I would imagine, and they always use the examples of rape and incest, and those are horrible things. Agreed, but 1%. And so if we can stop 99% if we can save 99% of lives, I guess, in the cases of abortion, that would be a massive success nonetheless. But I agree. I don't think that. I think there's a strong argument to be made, even in the cases of incest.
Well, organizations like organizations like Safe Haven provide that alternative to such a horrific act of abortion because the support is there. It's not just through pregnancy. You guys also provide help after post-pregnancy help as well. And I know that this organization is growing. I just got a disclaimer. My wife was a part of a conference that happened over the weekend and has been working with one of the other organizers, Mona McManus. Is that her name?
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm excited about the Safe Haven moving to Chalampago. Assen was nice, but it's kind of far.
Yeah. Chalampago Central. So hopefully that helps, I guess, bring these services to more people. But they offer the educational classes that they offer. They do educate people on the process of adoption for the mother herself. Mm-hmm. But it's also for those seeking to be adoptive parents. They can bring together both sides and help people through that very complicated process. They can also help, maybe if it's a young mother who doesn't know where to go in terms of prenatal care or how to, what steps she should take to, during her pregnancy and even afterwards being a mother. Like they have, all sorts of educational classes on that. And if you take these classes, you kind of accumulate these points. They're called points to success, and they have a blessing boutique, which has all sorts of, first-year baby needs. I don't know exactly what's all in there, but you have clothes and other baby needs, and I'll just say, and you can accumulate, and it's all free as long as you take these
Great
classes.
incentive, yeah. Very awesome,
Yeah.
very good.
It's being a parent obviously is a very daunting thing, but it's also a beautiful blessing, and it really, I mean, you want to talk about adulting, it'll make an adult out of you, and the Safe Haven is offering resources to help prepare someone for a really awesome journey.
Very good.
Even if they,
Very good. Well, I thank you for calling in, Tobias, and hopefully you'll get some volunteers from this weekend. I'll repeat it again tomorrow, and this is going to be this Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. in Chalampago, and that's right there at the intersection of, what's the intersection that goes through Manilao?
It's Route 4, and I want to say Route 10.
Route 4 and Route 10. Yeah, right before you go down to Chalampago, it's right there on the top of the hill. Was it a former school?
Yeah, it was a former it was called the Evangelical Christian Academy.
Okay, if anyone's familiar with it,
school.
that's the location right there. Okay, very good. Well, you have a great day, and I hope we get some good news from this heartbeat bill that's going through the legislature today.
Agreed. Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
All right,
You
have a good day. You too. All right, you're listening to Tall Tales here on KUSG 93.3 FM. We have in the green room Frenchie, who wants to talk about the Durham case. And there's
What
a
are
note.
you laughing about?
The note that you left.
You're laughing.
Daryl likes to leave me funny notes.
I got you laughing.
It's funny. Welcome to the show, Frenchie. What say you on the Durham case?
Well, good afternoon. How are you?
Very good. How's it going?
Yeah. You guys had a heated debate because I had several of my neighbors contact me and say, "What's going on with that debate?"
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because we're all listening,
Oh,
carefully.
good. Yeah. Very
so anyhow,
more debates.
The Durham case. Many conservatives were quite upset with Bill Barr when he didn't really appoint somebody earlier in his term of Attorney General to look at all the shenanigans of the Clinton crowds, the lifetime members of the FBI, the DOJ, the Department of State, who are moving very easily between government job, corporate jobs, and back into government jobs, and consider themselves as the adults in the room, and therefore they know better than the citizens of this country on how to run the country, despite the fact that they have been wrong for the last 70 years on almost every subject. And so that Durham case, the way it was set up, even though he's in Boston, most of the cases are prosecuted in D.C. And we know that D.C. has been a den of iniquities for as long as I can remember. And it is totally obvious to everybody that is not totally blind to see that there are two weights and two measures in the judicial system in D.C. If you are a country bumpkin that got caught on January 6th because he was waved in the Congress,
By the authorities.
the House of Congress, by policemen that let them in, get 10 years of prison, while people that obviously committed perjury in very grave circumstances are not going to be. They're going to be indicted, but they are never going to be convicted, which reminds me a little bit of the KKK members that were sent to trial at the state level in Mississippi and Alabama and everything in the 50s and 60s. They were never convicted. It took what was his name, Hoover, the wonderful transvestite. So transvestites is not new. Hoover was a trailblazer to come in and.
Are you saying he wore a pantsuit?
And basically find a federal statute in order to retrial those people to get them convicted. And so it's unfortunate that Durham will not have any conviction. He had one. It was a guilty plea, and the guy got away with a little strike at the tip of his fingers, and he's now a lawyer again, where most lawyers around the country had done half of what this guy did. A legal advisor of the FBI who basically committed perjury and falsified official document got away with nothing, and he's still a lawyer, while most people would have been disbarred for life. So the common people of the United States understand that there is a system for the people that are part of the national state, either by working for them or by being elected to post of power. And that is what happened there with the Durham case. Nothing will get out of it. People are not going to get indicted. The people that lied, that created a whole operation to discredit first a candidate and then a sitting president during his tenure, which made it almost impossible for him to really get a handle of the levers of power. It is amazing. It's very sad. It is a travesty of justice, and it is exactly what the founders of this republic were afraid of when they wrote the Constitution. This Constitution is being used as a doormat by those people in the national government and their operators. So now we arrive to the. I'll touch very briefly. You were talking about the photo of Johnny Utah. They are fully automatic gun on that picture, but it's in a gun club. I particularly saw two guns looking very fast. The MP4, which is wrongly called the Schmeisser, which was the 9mm machine gun designed by the Germans during World War II. And right below it, you have a grease gun, which is that same version, American 9mm machine gun that was used by special operation people in Vietnam. So you can have fully automatic guns, but you need to be licensed at the federal level.
Oh, wow.
And go through a very complex vetting, and then you need also to have huge amount of insurance and everything. So usually it's mostly gun clubs that own those things, and they are taken out once in a while and shot by some of the club members. So to go back to our debate regarding Johnny Utah and Daryl.
Okay.
And the derangement syndrome, what's derangement? Derangement is confusion, insanity, and is considered as a mental disorder. It's close to lunacy and madness and delirium and mania. So you have, why is it called the Trump derangement syndrome? Exactly for that. I love Daryl. I think he's a fine man. He's an intelligent man. He has a beautiful family. He's like many of my friends on the West Coast and in Minnesota that are quite intelligent, well-educated. But when it comes to Trump, they are losing all their power of analysis because they cannot go past the varnish on the that is being given to us by the media, and it's very sad. So I've seen it. I see the devastation it gives, and to a lot of otherwise very rational people who become totally irrational. So talking about Trump being part of the Eastern elite, to me, that's baloney. Trump was never considered by the old money on the East Coast as being part of them. He's considered as a nouveau riche. He made his money, his family made their money being real estate developers in New York. Those are blue-collar people that raise to the level of being billionaires by dealing with mafia-owned unions, corrupt building inspectors, and so they are tough people. And then he also went into the entertainment industry with his TV shows and so on. He was accepted by the so-called elites as long as he was giving them money to run for office. But that's it. As soon as he declared that he was a candidate, he became a persona non grata, which is somebody you cannot deal with. He became totally, he had to be eliminated. And they tried everything during the campaign and after the campaign, and they're still trying to do it now. They cannot deal with him because, and the reason is that he wants to give back the levers of power to the people of the United States. His policies are policies of America first, to end those endless wars overseas, to give the industry back to the workers of this country and the businessmen of this country, not to some crony capitalists on Wall Street that have PACs in D.C. that decide how to make laws to profit their friends in that crony capitalist system, which is a system of corruption at all levels of business, jurisdiction, and legislation. So he could not be allowed to get a hand on the levers of power, you know. And that is why you've seen that relentless, never-ending attack on him at all levels. I mean, it has been nonstop. And the people that are already in power are the Straussian, from the old professor from University of Chicago, Strauss, who was an American Jew that also designed the policies for Israel and their foreign policies. And all the people that came with that are, some of them still in power, like Kagan and Ambassador Noonan, who is his wife. And all those people are the ones that are in power. They are the one moving the strings of geriatric Joe Biden, who has been corrupt since the first day he was elected to Senate. It's not new. It was a joke in D.C. for years, but yet now this man is the face of so-called American democracy, and people overseas no longer believe in it. Because if you think that people overseas believe that Biden won the election, I have a metal tower to sell you in Paris. People don't believe it. They said, how can it be that the country that embodied democracy for so many years is basically acting like a banana republic? People are dumbfounded. And even enemies of Trump overseas are saying, this was amazing. This is a coup d'etat done right in front of the eyes of the world. So we're living in an empire of lies. Everything that is being brought to us is basically the opposite image of the mirror. And we can see that in every debate, and we see it in the Trump derangement syndrome. He's crazy, he's evil, he's dishonest. Compared to whom? To Clinton, Biden, Schumer, Obama, you know. And then, of course, his supporters are stupid people that don't understand the system, that do not comprehend how government works, and therefore we, the elite, need to tell them how to think and how to vote properly, which was Hillary Clinton. And this is what big tech and the medias are doing too. We're a bunch of idiots that don't understand the thing, even though actually most of the people supporting Trump are much more realists than the people in academia, in the media, or in big tech. And they understand quite well that they are being told to shut up and not act up in trying to defend what has been their way of life for the last 3 or 4 generations. And we are being told that we're going to give you a new society that will be much better. Are they going to do it? Nobody can tell you. And looking at the way they run the country right now, the adults in the room are acting like a bunch of petulant teenagers that do not know how to do anything except spending daddy's credit card money. And that's what they do.
And daddy meaning the taxpayers.
Daddy meaning the taxpayers.
Right.
And that, I will tie that up with your parakeet story.
Yeah, cockatoo.
It is a very interesting story that you read, because parakeets, like many other animals,
Cockatoo
and parakeets, all
similar,
animals, basically, apes, pigs, they all learn by watching and adapting to new challenges, which is something that Western human beings have been unable to do for the last 50 years. And you know, the fact that some people are able to make money by surveying what those animals are doing is just mind-boggling, but it tells you the type of challenge that we have mentally in our world right now. You know, I'm a hunter. I've hunted dangerous games in Africa. I've hunted in Asia. I've hunted all over the world. And what I know is never to underestimate an animal, because animals, unlike us, do not assume anything. They learn from watching, they learn from failing, and they try something else every time. We have erected science as a new religion that actually doesn't have any answer, but it's now a taboo to say that the science is wrong. And we are seeing in what's happening at the European Parliament now with Pfizer and other medical groups telling us that actually they knew that their vaccine never protected the vaccinated. And the media is barely reporting it. They're reporting it in Europe, but they are not reporting it here.
Oh, Facebook and Twitter are very, very busy countering all these stories, which is amazing, because they're not even countering with facts. They're just saying it's wrong.
And the so-called fact-checkers are basically the new fascists, the new Gestapo of our
information ministry, right?
What's left of our democracies, the ruins that are left in our democracies.
Yeah.
And the only optimist side is that people are a lot like the animals. They watch, they see. They might not have a master's or a PhD like some of us do, but they understand what existential issues are. And they are not stupid, and that's why they voted for Trump, because they knew he would upend the table and say enough is enough. Now, they didn't realize the extent to which the people that really hold the power were willing to go to destroy the man they elected and to continue with fake elections and so forth. So. But this is a problem we have in Europe right now, and it's very similar. We have people that are elected with 10-15% of the votes because people no longer go to vote. What Trump had done, and he had given a voice to the people that had stopped to vote for many decades and are going back to vote and demanding answers from their political people. That's why the rhinos are so scared, because Trump is pushing people that are
the
America
entire
first.
Swamp, right? The entire
So
DC
the
swamp.
Is checking and they are, every time you're dealing with an animal that's cornered and wounded, and that's a swamp, they are very dangerous.
Right. Frenchie, I
And
want to
that's
thank
why
you for calling in. I'm sorry we have a bottom of the hour break. We've gone past a little bit. I'm telling you, you got to go on Facebook right now, because you have a really great fan base. And love when you call in.
Anyway.
Well,
but I trust you to let me know later.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Have a great day, and thank you very much for calling in. You're listening to Tall Tales. We're going to the 7th inning stretch. I see you in the green room, another Joe. Don't go away. We have more right after this.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
Does your physical workplace have an impact on the mental outlook of workers, their overall job satisfaction, and productivity? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we'll talk about that and what you might want to do about it. It's The Extra Point here on 93.3.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
Are you looking for a new place to hang out with your friends? Let's go along the sidelines at Sidelines Bar and Grill. Located at 154 Iriarte Road, Unit 4 and 5 in Tamuning behind Royal Bigs. Sidelines, a hidden gem with nothing but great things to offer. Great atmosphere, great food, top shelf drinks, and a great team. What are we waiting for? Let the fun begin at Sidelines Bar and Grill. Open daily from 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. See you there.
The 7th inning stretch. 2 more innings left to go in this Thursday episode of Tall Tales. I want to get to a couple of more of these articles here, but especially this one from Canada. But we right now have in the green room another Joe who wants to, let's see here, opine about the Guam PAC, Political Action Group.
Okay, so I was listening to the one of the maestros there, Frenchie, talking about PACs stateside and their agendas. And I say, hey, you know, that reminds me, we have a PAC here in Guam. Mm-hmm. And the last time I checked, their objectives, none of their objectives include, I could be wrong about this, maybe someone tell me if I'm wrong, none of their objectives include being pro-Christian. It's not, it doesn't seem to be important. And so I want to bring up tomorrow is, I think, is the first session day for October at the Guam 36th Guam Legislature, and Bill 291-36, the Guam Heartbeat Bill, Act rather, of 2022, that has not been moved out of the Health Committee, to my understanding, yet until they can get 7 senators on the Health Committee to sign off, vote to allow for...
Oh, I thought it was announced that it was going to be talked about today or brought up for discussion.
So I hope I'm wrong, but it takes 7 senators in the Health Committee,
right?
Of which there are 9. There, Mr. Jose, Martinez. There are 9 senators in the Health Committee, so they need 7 senators to sign off on it to allow it to go to the Committee on Rules. The standing rules says 7 senators per committee. So if you can get 7 senators to sign off on it, then it goes to the process. I'm not completely familiar with it. It goes to Committee on Rules, and then somewhere from there it goes to Section 4 for them to talk about, just to have a debate on it. So if they don't allow for that, then I don't know how long it takes, but it might die in the committee.
Okay.
And I don't know how many days their session there are going to be.
Well, I'll check on that. I know Dr. Akimoto yesterday had mentioned that it was going to be put up for discussion and maybe the vote. Is that what's that called? The third reading?
Third reading.
Yeah, today. Didn't he say that yesterday?
I don't know if it's going to die. I don't know what would happen for it to die in committee, but for it to move on, from my understanding, if they don't already have 7 senators, they need 7 senators. I think they would have to check with the Speaker Terlai's office and Senator Talina Nelson's office to see if they got all the votes needed to continue along the process from bill to law.
Well, after this phone call, another Joe, let's call our senators, call their offices, let them know.
Tomorrow, right, because it's already after 5. Thanks for your time there.
All right. Thanks
guys.
for calling in.
I was just gonna say.
All right. Have a great one. That was another Joe who waited around to tell us that we need to call our senators if we are interested or really strongly feel for certain bills to make sure they come out of committee so they could have a third reading. I don't know what that process is. It seems kind of bureaucracy push where you have to have all these different hoops and whatever to walk through. I know it's so that there's.
It's not a command situation. It's not commander on top and then everyone else salutes. It is 15 people that we elected, and they have to agree by numbers
to pull them out.
to get something out of a committee. So if it's not out of the committee, then the rules committee can't put it on the agenda.
No, it doesn't exist in the sense.
Well, it does. It's there, but it's not active.
Right.
And it's 2 weeks before the election. Do they really want to talk about it?
They should.
Yeah, we
election
think
or
they
not,
should.
because it's been there. Yeah, it already had a hearing.
Us.
And they had a hearing on it also.
We voted on them.
Yep.
And they're there to do some work.
And there's quite a number of people that are there at the hearing. And if they choose to, they can put it on there and choose not to vote for it.
Well, they don't want to do that. Publicly, 2 weeks before the election?
Right.
See?
In
Method
the
to
green room.
madness.
Yeah, in the green room, our very own, my very own, Donna Miller. Good afternoon. You want to talk about lumpia?
I do. I want to talk about my favorite food, lumpia, but a movie, Lumpia with a Vengeance.
Oh, okay.
And I want to promote this movie because it's a crowd-funded movie, and the producer is Lawrence Iriarty. And Lawrence, if people don't know, he's actually first cousin to Tommy, Kathy, John, who's known as JJ, and Michael Sablon, who are neighbors with my cousins in the Taekwondo and the Jigo area.
Oh, okay.
And because he's from Jigo, we want to support him. We just heard that the Regals is where they're going to be showing it. But just know that if they don't get enough people, then they're going to pull it. So Friday night is important, and especially this weekend. But if you have time, please watch the movie Lumpia with a Vengeance. I heard it's funny. I watched the what is it called? The preview.
The trailer.
The trailer. And so it's funny. I have a weird sense of funny, but if we can get people to know, they don't have a lot of marketing, but this is Guam, so get the grapevine out. Tell everyone that identifies as local Guamanian, Chamorro, whatever. Go out and spend a few bucks and let's support.
Is there a time for this movie?
I don't have a time. I'm assuming it's listed on the GPO thingamajiggy.
Well, I'm looking up right now on the Regal app, and I'm not seeing it listed, though. I don't understand why. But if anybody has the time, let us know. It's the app, so it might be a national thing. But let us know what time it is. The first showing is guaranteed. It's been greenlit. But if they have enough people or enough people who are asking for it or purchase tickets for another showing, they'll schedule it for another time. But they need to have this first one to be successful. That's what I understand.
Right.
And because of the local connection, I think that's where they're pushing it. I heard them on Ray's program also this morning pushing this movie. It's called Lumpia with a Vengeance, and there is a definite local connection. Producer Lawrence Iriarty, originally from Guam, Jigo to be exact. All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Donna Miller. And
you're welcome.
I will see you later. Okay.
Good
Have a great day. Thank you. Have a great day. We'll see you later.
All right, bye.
Bye. All righty. Let's do the Churchill Downs just to get that out of the way so that we can get to this last one.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Okay, so don't go away. We'll be right back with more Tall Tales here on KUSG 93.3 FM, Churchill Downs, and we'll close with this little piece, this interesting piece from Canada News.
Tell me about it, stud.
Circle K's Craft Beer and Whiskey Festival is back on Saturday, October 22nd. We rockin' and rollin' at the Dusatani Guam Resort from 2 to 10 p.m. Bring your friends and come dressed in your best grease costume to win up to $500 in cash and prizes. So bust out those leather jackets and 50-style outfits as we party the night away at Circle K's Craft Beer and Whiskey Fest. Don't be a square. Get your tickets now at craftbeerfestguam.com or cruise on by any 76 Circle K location. Now that's cool, baby.
Come try Guam's original Chamorro restaurant with Pica's Best 5 years running. Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Experience Chef Peter's candied salmon over scallion coconut rice, octopus to naktak, Chamorro platter, and their award-winning gourmet hamburgers. Or if you're looking for something healthy, try their keto-friendly menu. Come and enjoy Mezcla's half-a-day service at their Hagåtña and Grand Plaza Tumon location. Call their Hagåtña location at 479-2652 for reservations.
Churchill Downs, the home stretch. Just 10 more minutes, a little less than 10 minutes left in the program. And we have something that could be controversial, could be just practice as usual. Don't know, but it is a very interesting inquiry that Candid News is getting into here. And I think it's a good question to ask. You know, in the interest of transparency, I believe the administration is mandated to at least explain to us or give something of an answer. And I'll read it in a second here, but I just want to repeat, Governor LG made a great pronouncement at one time during her tenure or in the beginning of her administration, stating, we are transparent and accountable to the people. We are transparent with reports, meetings, and minutes. As far as I am concerned, we are following everything that we are required to do. And that's good, and I hope she sticks to it. Haven't been seeing it too much lately. Just ask Ken Leon Guerrero. But let's get back to this article from Candid News that came out yesterday that says GMH giving away 12% of tax refunds garnished to private company. The Leon Guerrero administration is giving a private company $120 for every $1,000 of tax refunds Guam Memorial Hospital garnishes that are supposed to pay outstanding bills. A review of financial documents at GMH shows MedHealth Solutions collects 12% of every dollar the hospital collects above a $7.2 million monthly threshold. GMH, despite its poor financial health, has been paying this company an average of $350,000 a month, or what may be more than $4 million a year. Governor Leon Guerrero and Attorney General Levin Camacho signed the contract on May 13th and 14th, 2021, respectively. The contract was recently renewed for another year. GMH contracted MedHealth as its revenue cycle management vendor to help the hospital to collect debts. MedHealth and GMH agreed through some process that the hospital, without MedHealth help, would collect $7.2 million on an average monthly basis. That would include insurance companies that pay their subscribers' claims timely, reimbursements from the federal government, and the patients who pay their bills on time or through debt payments. GMH agreed to pay MedHealth 12 cents for every dollar paid to GMH above the $7.2 million monthly threshold, no matter whether MedHealth did anything to secure that additional revenue. And according to GMH spokeswoman Cindy Hansen, the hospital did not remove tax refund garnishments from that revenue formula. Residents owed tax refunds may have had their refunds garnished by the Guam Department of Rev and Tax to pay for taxes owed, or by the Office of the Attorney General for delinquent child support payments, or by GMH for outstanding patient bills. The garnishment is automatic and requires no middle person or company. In other words, no one makes any effort on behalf of GMH for the hospital to get this money. The DRT garnishments are part of the collections along with collections from Medicare, Medicaid, and other insurance companies and self-pay, Ms. Hansen told Candid. When asked whether the hospital's legal counsel and chief financial officer signed off on this arrangement, we asked whether the hospital's legal counsel and chief financial officer signed off on this arrangement. We also asked what the hospital's rationale is to pay a revenue consultant for revenue the hospital would automatically receive without a consultant. We await those responses from the hospital. Candidate also has asked Director of Revenue Taxation Daphne Shimizu whether the siphoning of a portion of the tax refund's garnishment is legal. Ms. Shimizu said she is reviewing the matter with her team. And again, it's a question, I think. It's a legitimate question. If it's normal practice, I'd like to know, and I'm sure Canada would like to know. I believe the whole island would like to know. If somebody is contracted to do work, but they're receiving money for work they're not doing, is that how it normally goes? That's just a question out there. So hopefully that we get answers to that. Almost the last thing on the card here. Oh, yeah, about 6 minutes left. I have this one on the card. Of course, I closed my card already. Open it up. It's small businesses versus fiscal year 2024. And this has to do with cash assistance to businesses that are struggling from the pandemic. I think it was called the LEAP program. This came out of Guam PDN, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago. GITA additional business aid would cost $36 million. Another round of cash assistance to businesses still struggling from the pandemic would cost about $36 million, according to Guam Economic Development Authority Administrator Melanie Mendiola. The first round of the government's LEAP program helped about 900 businesses pay their bills at a cost of about $62 million, but only about 450 businesses likely would qualify if there was another round of assistance. Mendiola said during a tourism forum Tuesday at the RIHGA Royal Laguna Guam Resort. The program gave grants or loans to businesses that lost at least 50% of their pre-pandemic revenue. The forum was sponsored by the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association with the Guam Travel and Tourism Association. Right now, employment's doing okay, Mendiola said, adding she thinks it's inconclusive if another round of LEAP funding would solve the island's economic challenges. Mendiola said she supports additional assistance, but do I have the money to give you? Not just yet. According to a University of Guam analysis of the LEAP program, the program successfully targeted the island's small businesses, helping them keep employees. Of the 900 businesses that received assistance, about 36% rely exclusively on tourists for the revenue, according to the university report. Businesses that received assistance are not optimistic that their revenue will improve during the next year and do not expect the island will recover until 2024, the report states. About 25% of businesses stated they are likely to close if visitor arrivals do not recover. We know it's going to take us several years for a true recovery, GHRA President Mary Rhodes said. She said there's been a slight increase in tourism from Korea and tourists from Japan, and hopefully we'll start traveling internationally at the beginning of 2023. Tourism arrivals are about 13% of pre-pandemic numbers, said Dave Tedinko, who leads the GTTA Industry Policy Committee. The glass is 87% empty, he said. Tedinko said the tourism industry currently faces several challenges. Japan is subsidizing domestic travel through the end of the year, which means it'll be 3 months until international travel from Japan opens up. The Japanese yen is down 26% against the dollar, and the Korean won is down 16%, which means Guam is a more expensive destination, and inflation is driving up the cost of doing business in Guam. There will be about 1.5 million available airline seats to Guam next year, and Tedinko said Guam's goal should be to fill about 70% of those seats, or about 1 million visitors. Doing so will require a public-private collaboration, he said. United Airlines during the forum reported that programs are needed to stimulate inbound traffic to Guam. The airline cut prices for travel between Japan and Guam, and there currently is a $270 all-inclusive fare, the airline reported. The island needs more optional tours for visitors, according to the airline, to ensure those who come here have a great experience. And we're still in recovery. It's still going to be a long time before we recover. And maybe just like the States, the politicians, because it's election time, are saying things are great, but we know that we're not feeling it. You're listening to Tall Tales here on KUSG 93.3 FM. We're at the end of the hour, the end of today's program. Be with us tomorrow for Friday, another episode of Tall Tales before the weekend, and the countdown for the return of Bob Klitzkie.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Daryl, for being here.
Thank you.
And being Daryl. And we'll be back with more Tall Tales tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. Oh,
before we go,
let's say, everybody.
Let's go, Brandon.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3. And 104.3 HD3.
Gas prices and boosting batteries. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. President Biden, as expected, ordered more oil released from the country's emergency stockpiles yesterday in an effort to lower gas prices.
By December, he's going to release an additional 15 million barrels of oil out of the strategic petroleum reserves. They're going to then buy it back once the prices go down to around $70 a barrel. President Biden says the timing, less than 3 weeks before the midterms, is not political.
That's Fox's Peter Ducey. Gas prices have fallen again, down almost 2 cents on average from yesterday, according to the AAA. The administration is awarding grants totaling $2.8 billion to companies to make batteries for electric vehicles.
Some people gave up on American manufacturing, but not me, not the Secretary, not the American people. Because where in the heck is it written that we can't be the manufacturing hub of the world?
The president also announced the American Battery Materials Initiative to secure the raw materials needed to make the batteries for electric vehicles. Fears of a looming recession continue. Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy telling Fox's Your World with Neil Cavuto the administration and the Federal Reserve don't seem to be on the same page.
On the one hand, the Fed is clearly trying to tighten money supply, and on the other hand, the administration has pursued a set of expansionistic policies.
Among those, Senator Cassidy says, the student loan forgiveness plan. State of Arizona is rejecting a demand from the Interior Department to remove about 100 shipping containers, which the state used to plug a hole in the border wall. The director of Arizona's Department of Emergency and Military Affairs telling the Interior Department in a letter there's nothing illegal about them. Stacked and welded together, topped with razor wires, it says they will stay until the federal government constructs a real border barrier. America is listening to Fox News.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
I'm Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor and editor of the Transom.com daily newsletter, and I'm inviting you to join a conversation every week with the smartest thinkers out there about the issues Americans face and where we're going as a nation. This show will feature deep dive interviews with newsmakers and some of your favorite Fox News analysts. I hope you'll join me as we dive into the fray. It's the Ben Domenech Podcast.